A members-only platform that looks to provide access for like-minded women looking to do more with their careers, wanting to associate with other like-minded peers, have some fun while doing it, and anything we can do to kind of facilitate your journey or your aspirations, we're here to do that. So it's we're here all year round, and we are growing our community, and we'd be happy to tell you more about it afterwards. So now that everyone's settled, I'm just going to call Malaika in. Welcome, Malaika Arora, everyone. A big round of applause, please. Have a seat. Let me just,
So nice to see everybody with a glass of something while I'm with a mug of hot water and lemon.
True to form. All right, well, while all of you are, of course, very familiar with Malaika Arora, I want to just share an intro. She's one of the most popular names, as we all know, on the Bollywood circuit, the Indian television scene. We've seen her as a judge. We've seen her gift in connecting with the audience. We've seen, of course, her natural flair for dance and for performance, of course, par excellence, and, of course, fitness. I asked everyone, what's the one thing you want to ask Malaika today, and you can guess what it was. So we have, of course, seen Malaika in many avatars across the screen, but she's also somebody who's recently, or over the last few years, already been investing, and now even more so with Malaika Arora Ventures, taking it further in terms of her interests in nutrition, wellness, and across the board, with, for example, lots of new brands that she's looked at. If you've tracked the recent announcements, Nude Bowls, Kapiva, etc. And of course, everyone has come across Diva Yoga and Sarva Yoga in the past as well. So that's a little bit about Malaika, but let's dive right in. There's so much that I want to ask her, because today we're talking to her here at Ladies Who Lead. And I want to ask her about her journey, about how she's reinvented herself over all these years to continuously stay par excellence at the top, the top league when it comes to your peers in your industry. Malaika, share with us a little bit about the journey in the last few years, the ups and downs. What keeps you going?
Firstly, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Abha, for having me here. It's nice to see some familiar faces in the room, some new faces in the room, so hopefully we'll get to know each other in the course of time. Well, like you said, I think the most important aspect of being in the business is to stay relevant. And the only way you can stay relevant is if you constantly reinvent yourself. Because I think we are in a business where we all come with a shelf life, women most certainly. And that shelf life keeps changing all the time, depending on whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you've gained a few pounds, whether you have kids. These are the parameters that keep changing. So I think the one thing over a period of time is, for me, like I said, it was to stay relevant. And the only way I felt I could do that was to keep adding something new to my repertoire. And I feel like I've done so much over the course of my career, spanning over 28 years in the business. So whether it was dabbling on television, on big screen, doing films, songs, all of it, I finally felt that I think there's a time in my life where I felt I need to be more than just a pretty face, and that's another a dichotomy of sorts in this business, where you're perceived as, if you're a pretty face, then you don't have a brain. So, and I think that's just the most annoying thing that one constantly deals with. So I think that is somewhere I felt where I need to change that aspect. And I don't need to go door to door and scream, from the top of my lungs and say, hey, what, I've got a brain and a ticking brain. I don't need to do that. I felt, let my work speak for itself. Let things that I keep doing and I keep getting associated with, let that speak for itself. Because that's another thing. Our personal life tends to take over and speak a lot more than what we actually do. So I think that's where it all started for me, essentially, where I said I need to make that that switch.
Was your ecosystem supportive? You know, when you're talking about being overwhelmed by scrutiny, public scrutiny, and everything you do, personal or professional, when you decide to make that change, what do you need in order to really stick to it and make it happen?
Well, like you said, an ecosystem is the most important. You need to have the right people around you. And to be very honest, my friends and family are my most, my biggest supporters for everything that I've done. Yet when I wanted to bring about this change, I somehow kept them in the dark. I did. I actually did. And I'm going to be honest about that because I just felt somewhere, not that they're going to turn around and tell me, what the hell are you doing? And, you shouldn't even be trying, stuff like this. Do something that you're good at. I know that that's not what I'm going to hear. But I still kind of didn't want to divulge too much. And I'm really glad with the team that I have. And having said that, I always say, women are women's best supporters. We either pull you down or we lift you up. Literally, that's what it is. And I can truly say I have some amazing women around me who really push me day in and day out, literally. I mean, even like my very dear friend Preeta, who's also a founder and part of your Ladies Who Lead. So she was the one who actually introduced me to this entire platform and to ABBA. So I'm eternally grateful for that. And, so like I said, the women that surround me are the ones who really make a lot of difference in my life. And she's one of them. In fact, the very first brick at that foundation level was her, which I started off with the label Life. I had zero idea what I was doing. All I knew was she came and she said, do you want to be part of something like this? And I was like, okay. You're my friend and I trust you. I mean, how bad can it be? I mean, she's my dearest, oldest friend. I mean, she can't really, do anything to destroy me or something like that. So I said, okay, chalo, let's go with the flow and let's see what happens. So literally that was where it all started. I knew nothing at all. I didn't even understand what she said.
And Preeta speaks so highly of you, and she always talks about how Malaika has such a cute business sense and acumen. Even not coming from that background, she says that she loved to banter with you the most when it came to business strategy and what to do with Label.
Yes, I mean, we actually did. We did have these long conversations, and like she said, I have zero business background, or anybody in my family, or for that matter, anybody even in my nearest, closest circle. So I think I'm somebody who follows my gut. I follow my gut. I go by my gut. I really believe in that. I feel that is something that's what keeps me ahead of my game. And I feel the day I don't listen to my gut and I don't listen to that instinct, I know something's not right. I know there's something that's gonna shake that that foundation for me.
So tell us about Label Life. Tell us about the experience there. That was your first venture. I think before, Sarva came about.
Yes.
Or, and then moving on to Sarva, the experience in that, how involved you got, that was aligned, of course, with your own passion for fitness.
Well, like I said, Label Life was my first association of sorts in this world of entrepreneurship or having to be associated more than just being a face. Where I just had to show up at a shoot, look pretty, put on some makeup, sit in front of the camera. So it actually went more than that. And like I said, I understood nothing. But I think for me, it was a learning experience. Every day I would ask questions. Every day I would try to understand, what do you mean? What are you trying to say? Online shopping. I said, I don't even get it. I've never ever gone online and shopped for anything. So I really didn't get what the concept was. So actually trying to understand, okay, this is what online shopping was, this is what it meant, retail is one thing, online is one thing, brick and mortar is one thing. So I figured all these things in due course of time. And for me, that was my learning ground. And again, that entire setup that we had was all women. All women. We were, even at the office, we were all women. It was literally for the women, by the women, run by the women. So it was quite amazing. So yes, that was my learning ground. Until from there, I started understanding that, I can actually dip my toes into a different pool of sorts. And you know what? It can be beneficial. They can be far more gains than I can actually understand or expect. And that's when Sarvesh came into my life. One of the few men in my life who, like I said, I've had all women backing me. He's one of the few men that I know who we just connected instantly and who has backed me from day one, literally. And we just chatted. We just kind of had a few words here and there. And he asked me, what is it that I want to do? And I said, you know what? If you want me to be the face of what you want to do, then I'm not interested. I said, if we can collaborate and we can actually set up a business of sorts, then I'm interested. And I think that just kind of threw him off a bit.
And it's amazing that you actually had that desire to...
And I said, you know, I'm not interested. And he immediately, he just stood up and he shook hands and he said, you know what? I don't care what we're doing, when we're going to do this, how, but we're on. I don't care, I found my partner. And that's how, you know, I got on board and, you know, was, you know, co-founder with him. And he asked me at that point, he said, you know, what's your ethos? What is this ecosystem that you want to create? And I turned around and I said, you know, there are 3 F's in my life that I'm very passionate about. And he almost looked a little shocked when I said that. He was like, okay, what is she going to say when I said 3 F's in my life? So I said, it's actually fashion, fitness, and food. These are the 3 followed very closely by family. So I said, these are the 3 F's that I really want to pursue. The 3 F's that I want to make a mark in these 3 areas. How I'm going to do it, how we're going to go about it. I said, I don't know. I do have a plan, and we'll see how it unfolds in due course of time. And that was that, and that's how we went about it.
Well, you have to start somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
It's taking the first step. So recent investments, definitely going the nutrition way. So let me pause for a moment on the investment bit and ask more about the fitness bit. Everyone wants to know your mantras, right? So they're like, first tell us that, because let's understand how it's not just about, you know, a trend, but it's
size,
actually,
so to speak.
it's actually, I love how she's straight up, she's completely direct. So like, tell us about how it's you, it's really what you're all about. You live it day to day. You're so conscious of what you eat, what you practice, and how it impacts your body. So first, tell us about that.
I think you have to love yourself first. You have to. I think self-love is the most important. I think that's where it all stems from. And as women, we tend to forget about ourselves. We don't really indulge too much in self-love, so to speak. And I think that's where for me, that's where it comes from. I'm extremely, extremely passionate about living a certain lifestyle. Like I said, it's not about a size. It's not about, you know, what pair of jeans I need to get into. It's about a lifestyle that I wanted to create. And when I say create, it is something that I live day in and day out. It's how I breathe. That's exactly it. It's my breath every single day. So what I eat, how I work out, what I believe in terms of my fitness, in terms of my wellness, I think it all goes very, very hand in hand. So yeah, so I think that's where it started from. So again, fitness came into my life because I was struggling. I had so many injuries, and suddenly I felt like I was just being really bogged down but for no rhyme or reason. And that's when fitness really kicked into my life. And it not just gave me a sense of feeling good about myself, it gave me a sense of calm, it gave me a sense of clarity, it gave me a sense of feeling good about myself. I went through such a low in my personal space, and that's where yoga came into my life. So luckily, I've always had, I wouldn't call it a crutch, but I've had these pillars in my life where I've kind of hung on to, and I've really grabbed with both my hands, with all my might, and it's kind of really, you know, stood me in good stead. So that's where yoga actually came in.
No, and it's important to hear that because, and you have spoken about it before, that, you know, you've also had your low moments.
Absolutely,
You've had
yes.
difficult moments. And it,
personally, I think that was probably every time someone asked me my lowest, and I'm like, I couldn't imagine there could be anything lower than that in my personal life. I mean, here I'm thinking, oh, you know, professional, there's that all going good, looking fine, looking great, you know, things are happening. But when your personal life hits such a a low, it hits rock bottom, and then you're wondering, hell, how am I supposed to pull myself out of that? And then I also know that's going to affect not just my personal life, but it's going to affect my professional life as well, because unfortunately all of it, is, kind of goes hand in hand. They're all interconnected. So suddenly I felt everything around me was just crumbling actually for no fault of anybody's. These are just personal choices and decisions that one made in our lives. And everything around me was crumbling. And I have to say, yoga was such a intrinsic, huge part of my life in that moment.
So, share with us a little bit about how gender stereotypes play a role here and how you battle them. Because how do you break it? Not battle at a personal level. Let's say, how do you break it going forward? I mean, Bollywood, let's just take Bollywood for a moment. I mean, you also took the brunt when it came to decisions in your personal life, a lot of judgment, a lot of stereotypes. We think you're a rock star, by the way. I think definitely something all women should, take a note of. But but how does one break some of these existing stereotypes, because it's so deep rooted, right? It's not always just about a room of like-minded women like us or peers like us. You're also battling this in your day-to-day life across multiple aspects.
Absolutely, and I feel like I still battle it as of today as well. Even though I feel I've done the work, I've done all of that, I've moved away from so much, but there's still some amount of it. Now, in terms of these kind of stereotypes, I don't know. I don't know whether I want to shout out and say, oh, I want to change it all, and I don't know whether I can achieve that or whether I will be able to do that. I would hope that it would go in a certain direction. You won't believe, in fact, at my lowest in my personal life, somebody I know, a lady actually came up and actually said this to me, quote unquote, and somebody that I know really well. And she said, oh my God, how are you going to move on? How are you going to live without that surname? I think I've looked at her in complete shock, Like, I didn't know, and I honestly, for the first time, didn't know what to say. I didn't have any words. I had nothing. I was just tongue-tied. I was just baffled that somebody could actually turn around and say that to me. And I said, you know what, the first thing I need to do is, there's absolutely no malice or nothing. I feel I need to just stand on my own 2 feet and say, you know what, and drop my surname and go back to my maiden name and say, you know what, this is the name that I was born with. This is the name that I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet with, and this is what is going to take me forward. I mean, I think that was somewhere a switch it just kind of went off in me. And I said, oh, wow, that's what it really means, that really is patriarchy of another kind, that I have to hang on to a surname just to feel good about myself or just to have some sort of a standing in society. So, yes, these kind of prejudices are there. I'm glad it came at a time where it hit me so hard and I dealt with it head on. And I think I've never looked back after that.
Well, that's amazing, and I'm happy to, I'm really, really sort of happy that you were able to kind of move on and surpass, when it came to those challenges, and you're well on your way onwards and upwards once again. So that's really what I want to celebrate, because after 28 years of work experience, and you're still, and despite some of the challenges that have come your way, you're reinventing,
Every day.
Every day. And I think that's to be celebrated. Reinventing, staying on top of her game when it comes to fitness, fashion, television, and of course now entering entrepreneurship. So coming back to some of your investments then, because that's also something that, we're all interested in. How are you choosing some of these companies? Are you looking at are you actively involved in thinking about their expansion? Is it more about supporting companies within that nutrition and wellness space that you think will have an impact? How are you selecting them?
Firstly, it's very intimidating sitting in a room with so many founders.
So
and then it's so intimidating, because, I mean, each one of you, have got so much to talk about, so much to write home about. I truly feel that I'm still very nascent, it's still very early for me. But
so let's have some of our members introduce themselves. Who would like to sort of say a few words about what they do and maybe even ask a question? Vijeta?
So I don't know if you remember, but I was with the Fiskare.
Yes, of course I do. I smiled at you. I gave you such a big, broad grin. Okay, I hope you didn't think for a second, is she like crazy? Is she just smiling at me for no reason? Sorry, what's your name? Vijayata. Okay.
Um, I mean, I wouldn't relate to you with doing something with the stocks or with investments, but if I think of fashion or food or lifestyle or yoga or fitness, I would totally relate to Malaika. So I think, yeah, so, everyone personifies, what
A certain area.
Exactly. So I think it's great the way, you've taken your life forward and really, really building your label and your brand, and it's amazing.
Thank you, Vijayata. Thank you so much. Whew, now I feel better. That pressure was killing me. It was.
Fair
literally.
enough. I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Everyone was like looking closely scrutinizing where this
like
conversation's going to go. Gauri, why don't you share something? Gauri is, of
Yes,
course, a
of course,
very
yes.
well-renowned entrepreneur herself.
Yes, she and I.
Sorry, I'm completely the antithesis of fitness and nutrition. So I'm a restaurateur. and-
Considering I love your food, I really
Thank
do.
you. But yeah, so I do everything that's about feeling good with food and completely unhealthy. There's nothing good about
Food
it.
is never unhealthy. Food is joy. Food is what
Exactly.
uplifts your soul. Food is what just
Exactly.
makes you happy. It
Yeah.
can never be unhealthy.
I know, but I need all the tips. So please keep sharing and kudos to everything you've built.
And
so
I, like
far.
I said, I love what you do. The brand that you've created, the food that you do. I think it just comes from pure passion. I think if you don't have that passion, it'll never ever reflect in anything that you do. And you do it with so much passion.
Go for it. Ritu?
Hi Malaika, my name is Ritu.
Hi, Ritu.
I run a moms community. It's called Journey About Mast Moms.
Do you want to incorporate my mom in it?
Yes,
I needed to get out of the house and do something, something with herself.
we'll incorporate you too. My community absolutely adores you. I'm a single parent, and something very commonly a lot of my mothers from the community also battle is feeling guilty. Tell us, how did you experience it? How did you cope up with it?
Guilt. That's middle name for every mother, right? That's something we just can't shirk off. You always feel guilt. I mean, the two questions I'm often asked is, how do you balance work life, professional life, and how do you deal with guilt? Now, how do I deal with guilt? Now, if I'm going to wake up every single day of my life wondering and trying to figure out, oh my God, am I being a good mother? Am I being present enough? Am I doing everything? Or, these are the most formative years of my child. And if I'm going to head to work, is that going to have an impact on my child? I think I will be a miserable wreck. Forget my child. I mean, I'll never be able to give my child everything and anything that he or she needs. So I need to get rid of that notion in my head first. So, but like I said, I think that's something we live with all the time. But with time, you also kind of get used to it. And I think I sat my kid down and I spoke to my son and I said, you know what? This is what your mom does. I have to go to work. I have to earn for a living. I have to make sure that this is, how we keep things going. I kind of made him understand that, and I told him that he'll never ever feel the need that I'm not around. I'm just a phone call away, and I drop everything, and I'll be there by your side. So I think he understood that pretty early on in life. So eventually he got used to it, and I think the good thing about Indian society is that we have such a great infrastructure. Maybe in the West it may not be like that, but here our infrastructure is so amazing. Where family, friends, you have everybody rallying around you all the time. So that's something we can always turn to. That's something that we always have a fallback plan on. So yeah, guilt, you live with it forever, but it starts diminishing in due course of time. At least that's how I figure it out.
I really would love all of you to get a chance to interact. So go for it. Aarti, why don't you come in? Aarti had lots of questions for you because she'll be
Thank you. Hi.
your interest in yoga and wellness is amazing. So I actually was a part of the corporate world for 14, 15 years. And then I quit that because my passion was doing tarot and doing healing. And then, yeah, I've been doing it for a while now. And I think, you know, when you do what you love, it's a whole game changer altogether.
Wow.
So
We need to do a session ASAP.
for sure.
ASAP.
For sure.
Like a bat.
Now that you
relay
have
race,
the
like
mic, you
it's a-
have
it's
to
a-
say something.
It's a relay race. Hi everyone, I'm Prerna, and congratulations actually to everybody who's here, because it's not a one-person journey. It's like we're raising a community over here.
Absolutely.
And first of all, I like to say Abha has been complimenting everybody. She refuses to acknowledge herself in this process. She's also constantly reinventing the wheel. But having said that, I think my question to you, Malaika, would be that, quote unquote, since you've been candid, there are a lot of, we call it struggle, but inside our hearts we sort of associate that with failure. And we kind of don't say it out loud, but we feel the failure. And I'm sure most of us must have felt that at some point in time. So I want to know that, was there a time where the struggle translated inside of you as a failure, and how that felt, and how did you overcome that? Or we could constantly be in it as well, in our hearts. So what is your take on that, and what is your experience and journey in this?
Well, I think that failure part of it, I think like I said, I must have probably just felt that aspect in my personal life at that point where I felt, oh my God, am I being a complete failure? Or is everything that I've worked towards, everything that I've done, am I a failure? When I look into the eyes of my son, does he see me as a failure, you know? So I think that was the only time in my life where I felt that part. Yes, you wake up every day with a certain amount of anxiety. You wonder, you know, what I'm doing, is it gonna be beneficial? Is it gonna translate into something that, you know, what I've thought about? Or is it gonna just completely boomerang? You know, you do kind of have all these feelings when you wake up. But I think that was the time where I really asked myself, am I a failure? And today I can sit back and comfortably say that I think that failure translated into something. It translated into success for me. Because if I hadn't,
both.
sorry?
Professionally and personally both.
Both. I think if I hadn't made certain changes or moves, I think I'd still be in a rut somewhere, because I'd still be battling so much in my head, wondering, you know, what if, could I, should I, you know, the typical questions. So I'm just glad that I could actually change that failure of mine into success, and I'm really happy and proud. And I can actually sit today, and that's another question that people often ask me, that what's your idea of success? I mean, what is success to you? And for everybody, success is a very relative term. It means different things for different people. Could be, you know, sometimes having a great home, you know, is a sign of success, or driving in a really fancy car is a sign of success, or having a hefty bank balance is a sign of success. Today, in the spot that I sit in and the place that I sit in, for me, success is the fact that I can sit in a room full of my peers and such amazing women who want to listen to what I have to say. For me, that is success. I wouldn't trade that for anything in the world, because that for me means a lot. It really does. That what I have to say, even if a room full of people want to hear what I have to say, I'd probably take something back home with them. That for me is success.
Thank you so much. And actually, just want to add something. Abha and I have been friends for some time now, and you know, she knows what I'm going to say.
Prerna is a member from Bombay, in fact.
Has kind of resonated with the fact that they've all been having a female, like a team full of women. You know, so I come from a profession where it's always been men. I'm a lawyer, so so I take pride in the fact that I managed to employ mostly women in my team when I started on my own. And I'm kind of glad to see everyone over here is kind of rooting for that for their own organizations. And I hope it keeps it that way, because creating employment for women is a very important thing, because only we can understand that what kind of adjustments they have to make when they have to get outside their house and work. So I think it makes a lot of difference. So anytime anyone is hiring, I think always, but at least we can do this for ourselves within our groups
Absolutely.
to, always prefer women over men, because it's been the other way around for a while now.
Absolutely. That's like you've spoken, straight words from my heart, because like I said, at the label life, it was all women. And then when I started the Diva Yoga Studios, I still remember Sarvesh, he says, what is it that you want to do? And I said, I want to do studios. He said, oh, great. I already have Sarva Studios. Fine, we'll expand and have some more studios. I said, no, I want to have the Diva Studios, which are exclusively for women. And I feel I need a space for women, where women can feel safe, where they can feel good about themselves, where they don't have to be judged when they walk in, if they're wearing something, and if they don't have to have glances from a man and wondering why, what, am I wearing something, tugging, pulling. I wanted to create a space for women like that, and that's probably why I created the Diva Yoga Studios. And every time people say, come on, have some slots, where we can introduce classes for men. I'm like, we'll think about it. I'll think about it. I said, but right now, I love the fact that I can go into a studio which has all women who don't care. They are all shapes and sizes. They wear what they want. They feel good about themselves. They're having a great time. So yes, I am very happy to be adding to that economy for women. So
Absolutely. We're all
Go for
responsible
it.
to create a safe place for each
Please,
other.
go ahead. By the way, we have two very brave men who've come.
I actually asked the gentleman standing over
Three.
there.
I see
Yeah, who's
Tarun,
now waving out to
Rohit,
me
yeah.
inside. I asked him, I said, how does it feel being outnumbered?
Yeah.
So he's saying, not very good. It's a bit strange. That's what he said.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, I'm Hiral, and I am the founder of the Little Yogis Club, which is a yoga studio for kids. And like what you just said, where your Diva Yoga ethos for women, I'm happy to let you know that I'm from the first batch of face yoga teachers from Sarva, who has graduated last week.
Oh, okay. So you got your certification and everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
we've just submitted us assignments and we're getting it all now next
Oh,
week. But
okay,
yes, so
congratulations.
thank you so much for that. And no, I wanted to really thank you for the community that you built for us, because we didn't have just women that were my age. We had women who are 50 plus, who are reinventing themselves, who are rediscovering themselves through yoga and through the support that Sarva provided. And it was beautiful journey, like, not only just learning about face yoga, but the business aspect of it, which was very, very nice. And so, yes.
I want to just come and give you a tight hug
Me
for
too.
saying that.
I'm really getting all choked
That
with
makes me
emotion.
feel so happy. It
Because
really
our
does.
last session, Sarvesh did some business training sessions,
Yes.
and of course he spoke to us about you and how you all started your journey.
Yes.
So every time you were saying it, my life journey also has kind of parallel to yours. And I always say, yoga didn't find me, I found myself in yoga.
I totally agree with
And
you.
so yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for being so open with your
So
love.
welcome to our Sarva community.
Thank you.
Welcome you with open arms.
Okay, hold on. There's another question.
Good evening, Malaika.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, my name is Preeti.
Hi, Preeti.
The question I want to ask you is about people, right? I mean, we're talking about business and there's a huge founder community here. And, but there's an important aspect when you're running a business, when you're owning a business, is that you have multiple people who look up to you. You manage them directly. If it's your leadership team, you manage them indirectly if they are down, right? I have a couple of questions around there. I'm just going to bundle them up and you can answer them the way you. When you are in that position, right, you look up to you as your audience as you run your organization. So what does leadership mean to you? Second is, because what happens sometimes when it's, usually when it's one person of the founder become the values of the company. Your personal values kind of translate into any decision that you make. As, the market, everything. So, do you consciously set the culture? And third is, what are your experiences in managing people? the pain points. I'm sure many people here who are managing people would deal with that. And from a strategic perspective or execution perspective, what is the brief that you give your people that, this is how I would like this organization to be run for, this is how I would like my people to know me? The stuff which people don't see outside.
Okay, Preeti, I'm going to try and answer that as true as I can. To begin with, I'm not a very people's person. I never was a very people's person. It took me a while. I'm pretty much of an introvert, so to speak. But I guess the profession that I'm in, I can't afford to be too much of an introvert. I mean, I can balance. I mean, I can. The good part is I let people see as much as I think that they need to see, and as much as I think that needs to be put out there. So that is in my hands, and I control that. But like I said, I'm not so much of a people's person. But over time, I think that has changed, and I'm glad that has changed, because I think that part has helped me be able to engage with a lot more people and be a little more, understanding, a little more responsive, from both sides. So that has taken a little bit of time for me to reach that place. In terms of leadership, I think, again, when I go back to the kind of work that I do, I think we've kind of been bestowed upon, or we've been given this power where you have to be a certain way. You have to conduct yourself constantly a certain way, because now this has been vested upon you, whether you like it or not, because you're in a social space, you're in a space of public space, so people look up to you. So whether you like it or not, you have to be a certain way. You got to project a certain way. You got to conform to certain ways, unfortunately. But like I said, because that has been, that power has been given to you. So I feel that power is a lot of power for any of us. I mean, and to use it to the best of our ability, and to use it wisely, and to use it in a way that can impact people. These are all very essential things with this power, because I feel in the position that we are in, I feel we should make use of it. I don't think I should squander it. If I've been vested this power, I should use it in the right way, and kind of create a certain rapport, a certain image, a certain example to people out there. So when it comes to leadership, I think when we started a venture of ours, which is MAV, which is Malaika Arora Ventures, which is where we want to be able, it's a platform where we want to be able to have and associate with as many brands as I can, that I feel that I need to be associated with, that I feel I can lend a support to, I feel that I have a voice for, I feel that is an extension of me. So that's why we started the MAV. And in terms of leadership, I think I have a fantastic team that works with me. They are my backbone. They really are my backbone. And at no time does it come across as work leadership, you are my my underling, and it doesn't. I don't think that's ever the situation. I think we all are pretty much on the same at the same level. I am somebody who's very firm. I'm somebody who's very, very straight. There's no gray areas for me. It's either this or it's that. That they've kind of understood. I don't like anybody pussyfooting and beating around the bush. I don't like that. You want to say something, say it to me the way it is, and it helps me to understand better. It just helps me to get clarity on whatever. So I don't have this leadership thing going on over there. Yes, unknowingly, if my clan, so to speak, imbibe certain things from me through the years or whatever, then I think that just happens, because I guess maybe so-and-so has a certain personality that you can't help but kind of look up to or follow. But otherwise, I think we all are on the same page. I let them just, be able to say things the way it is. I'm open to what they have to say. I'm open to their discussions. I'm open to their thoughts, their ideation, whatever it may be. So it's pretty open, in that space. So yeah, I think I don't look at it as, I find that very strange to look at as, I'm your boss and you're my, I find that very weird. I want everybody to just have a good time together. I hope that answered everything that you've asked me and I could break that down.
And we also have a leadership coach in the house, by the way, at the back.
Okay,
Should
so
we
I
not-
think we need to
Yeah.
quickly get some leadership
putting her on the
coaching
spot
there.
right there, yeah.
Is that actually a thing? Like that, I guess some people do have that, right? A
You wanna-
sense of not being able to come forward or lead.
Shubs? She's saying, is it?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Priyanka and I run a sustainable packaging company. So one of the biggest challenges that we face in our industry is that when we deal with so many vendors all across India, one of the main things that is difficult for us is that they don't take women as seriously when they come to them for any kind of requirements or any kind of requests. So until last month, we had a completely female-led team till we hired one male employee because we realized that with certain aspects of our industry that we do need that relationship that, in certain parts of India that vendors will just react differently
To women.
and, communicate differently with the male employee versus the female one. So I was just wondering, within your career, if you've ever faced any limitations just because of your gender, or you've ever needed a male counterpart to get a certain job done, and how you've overcome that.
Well, we live in a hero-dominated industry. I mean, that's. Every film made runs because of the hero. But it's so nice to see that some of the heroes have actually turned around and said that you need to give the women. First billing. Through the years, from the time I can remember, a hero was always given top billing. By billing, I mean credits, for every film. That changed with time. I think it changed with Shah Rukh Khan, where he said, no, if I'm going to be in a film, the heroine needs to get top billing before me. So I think those were small steps that were made. And then, of course, pay packets, etc. That was another issue that needed to be dealt with. I mean, there's always a pay disparity of sorts where the heroes get paid far more than the heroines in our country. Coming back to what you're saying, I've heard a lot of my female founders who say that dealing with vendors is such a nightmare. They just can't seem to. They can't seem to get through. I have only one thing. Like you said, I have only one thing to say. That is the case. Hire the man and put that man in front over there. Sit back and let him deal with it. That's all I have to say. Why go down that road? Why try and figure that out? Because I feel it sometimes can be a little frustrating. And I genuinely don't believe in this. We live in a society. I'm not a feminist, so to speak, where I'm like, oh no, he can't do it, and I don't believe in that. I feel it's fine. I feel there are certain aspects that maybe a man is better at handling or better at dealing. Not that we can't do it. Not that we can't. But I also feel that we live in a society in where I feel that comes from their growing up, from their growing up years, that they're just more comfortable dealing with how you. Now that means you've got to go back to changing all the way from their childhood. You have to change that pattern first before all of the domino effect happens subsequently. So if that is what it is, then let the man deal with the vendor. I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem.
Yep, go for it.
I can hear you loud enough. Yeah.
And I always look for, the uniqueness of people's personalities. And thus far, I only saw your on-screen persona, but when I meet you in person, you exude a very authentic, real energy. And the question I want to ask you is that this positive self-esteem, going back to your childhood, what do you credit it to? What was it about the upbringing that made you the person that you are?
Wellness and what was it?
A wellness coach and
And-
counseling therapist.
I'm
a
sure
counselor, therapist.
I'm sure it must have been booming in the pandemic, right?
Yes.
Business must have been really good.
It was difficult. It was challenging.
I'm
yeah,
sure, but
yeah.
it's amazing. I mean, I have a friend of mine who suddenly decided, suddenly out of nowhere, she says, no, I'm going to go down this path because everybody seems to want some sort of counseling. Everybody seems to want to reach out and, you know, for some sort of help, which is great. So, yes, wellness and counseling is the need of the hour. Well, yes, everything dates back to, I mean, now I'm not going to, you know, delve so much. I'm going to just like scratch a little bit at this at the surface. But yeah, like I said, I wasn't like this. I think when I was a kid, I was just the opposite. When I was a kid, I was very, very awkward, very weird, very. I mean, I actually felt weird that, oh my God, that maybe my chest size was bigger than my sister's. You know, I used to feel weird about things like that. So I've dealt with all of that in my growing up years. I wouldn't say it was the most amazing growing up years. I've had loads of ups and downs. It was a rather a roller coaster of a ride, you know. But I think that also that part of me, at some part of me, I've just kind of boxed away. Because there are certain things you just don't want to deal with and you don't want to go down that road, because for me, I don't think it was a very pleasant time. I've had fun times as a kid, but I don't think it was very pleasant, my growing up years. So, so yes, I think I've had to work a lot on myself, because invariably, every time you speak to somebody, they say, oh, everything dates back to your growing up years and what you've gone through as in your childhood, because that's what the truth is. That's what actually forms your personality, and that's what makes, the person that you are. So I think I've kind of worked a lot and changed a lot about myself, but intrinsically, the authenticity that has to be there is there, that you can't fake, right? I think that's either there or it's not there. But yeah, I think I've worked a lot at myself over the years to be this person that is strong, that can take on the world, that doesn't get shafted, that doesn't get bullied, that doesn't feel like, oh my God, who's going to say what? So yeah, I think I've managed to do that over the years.
Okay, we have time for just one or two more, and if anyone has, and before we wind up, Shubhika, you want to tell us about leadership?
Is Vishaka here?
Vishaka is on her way, I think. Yeah.
There are different reasons why you would come into that space of leadership, and I've never found one formula for everyone, right? It depends so much on the influences you've had, the conditioning that you've had, and where you need to go in your process. So yes, things like the awareness of childhood and all that provides context, but it's about where you are today and where you need to go tomorrow that matters the most, I think.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess that's so important.
Exactly. So, I think that there's so much to take away from the conversation here, and one of the reasons we were so pleased that Malaika would be joining us, and I've as Prerna says, you've been, emphasizing, is because I think a lot of women struggle with knowing that they can. I think the first step is knowing that you can, right? And I think once you're able to do that, then you're able to really move on to wherever your momentum takes you. And for me, at least, she's a symbol of somebody who's doing that, right? It didn't stop at Chaya 25 years ago?
25 years ago, yeah, yes, 23,
right?
Yeah.
And so I really feel that there are so many stereotypes, as you mentioned right in the beginning, that women battle, whether it's age, patriarchy in terms of what they represent, commoditizing women, personal choices in your field, scrutiny. There's so many challenges and so many things one has to battle to be able to really push through on what you believe in. And self-doubt is the biggest thing. And, for that reason, I think thank you so much for joining us to share with us so openly some of what you went through. I don't think anyone expected that the conversation would be so real and so authentic today. And I think it's been really meaningful.
Thank you.
And as a community, that's also what we are here for, and that's what we represent. So look forward to interacting more with all of you. The bar is open till 9 and everyone is also welcome into the Quorum Members Lounge later on if you would like to stay back for a meal or as you wish. But our bar and drinks are open till 9, so we look forward to catching up with all of you after this. And I'd really love to get my team up here because both Delhi Bombay teams are here today. So if we can facilitate Malaika and get a picture, that would be lovely. Pooja, please come as well. Yeah. Pallavi, here. You want to come up? Since you've been so instrumental in putting this together. Could I have a big round of applause for Malaika, please?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Abha, once again. Really, you've been absolutely wonderful. I so look forward to our association and what we can do in the near future. And well, cheers, everybody. Bar's open. Have fun, ladies.